Good morning, boarding chair, board members, and fellow EXCO members. My name is Isaac Katkonda, and I'll be presenting to you the Cyber Resilience Strategy for 2023-2025. That this strategy will talk about reasons why we need this strategy, an overview on the threat landscape that is informing us to come up with this strategy. We'll look at the current and desired state, comparison of different investment options that will at least help us achieve this strategy. As a bank, we believe we do exist to provide convenient, secure, and accessible banking solutions to our customers, and that's why it is important to pay attention to security, but also allow security to become a business enabler in form of providing control measures or defense measures that will make sure that the services are always available to whoever wants them available. Also making sure we have protection controls to our third parties, and making sure that they also have assurance and at least they have certain levels of controls in place as long as they do business and integrations with us. We believe by implementing this strategy, it will help us achieve certain levels of assurance, like reducing risks, protecting customer data, maintaining and showcasing credibility to our stakeholders, but also conforming to different roles across the estate. We believe as a result, as outlined in 2019 Annexure report, it requires financial service providers like banks to implement controls and security controls that are next generation, that are more adaptive to the cyber threats, which keeps on evolving, having in place clear governance in regard to cyber, putting in place different cyber security steering committees that will showcase and monitor the progress of the cyber strategy implementation. We believe cybersecurity is no longer an IT issue. We now need to have participation and involvement of all key stakeholders across the business that will help us propel and have this strategy implemented fully. Having done a gap assessment and a risk assessment basing on ISO 27001, we estimated ourselves to be at 3.2 maturity score, and from that we set out and achieve a target of 4.4 maturity score or maturity growth by 2025. With that, we shall have done an uplift in ISO certification. We have had put in place controls to do with data leakage preventions, having in place a more resilient incident response plans. So we believe the target will be achieved with this strategy. We believe by the organization's agenda of digital transformation, where we want to do more adoptions and innovation through fintechs and have 70% of our transactions done online, it is important for cybersecurity to also be integrated within these processes, to have security resilience within our people in form of doing security assessment and awareness in our processes, making sure we have different assessments and risk assessments done, but also in technology, as we adopt different technology, have security integrated, and we have assurances done on all platforms that we expose to the customers. Out of this presentation, we will have an agreement of the current and the target cyber states. We'll have an adoption and agreement and approval for the cyber resilience strategy, but also an approval for the investment option that we are going to use as a vehicle to implement this strategy. Talking about at high level why we need this resilient framework is looking at the Annexure report of 2020. It estimated a whopping loss of $18.5 million attributed to data loss, financial loss, and repeatable damages. And that showcased that there is a need for organization to have a more robust resilient frameworks that should mitigate this. We also believe there is an increasing evolving threat landscape. We're having more state-sponsored actors that are targeting more of the critical infrastructure, so it's important for us to have controls to mitigate this kind of actors. It's also important to focus on the brand. We believe if we position our brand as a more organization that is reputable in the market by putting in place platforms that are more reliable, platforms that are more secure, we'll have solidified ourselves positioning in the market as a more reliable and trusted partner. About expansion, we believe as we are engaging more in new markets, engaging more in providing new products and services. It is important that whatever product and innovation and market we go into, we provide them with sustainably, but also security is key across. We also believe we need this strategy to help us conform to a different kind of regulations, as we are in a banking sector which is highly regulated. Looking at the threat landscape in details, we've seen different kind of threat actors and from which we are also exposed to. We've seen a rise of nation-state actors, which are geared towards being sponsored by certain countries like Russia and China, and there is target critical infrastructures just to push a certain political agenda. We've seen a rise in more organized cyber criminals like Revo and Anonymous Sudan. They are also targeting different sectors with their different motives, especially extortion, fraud, and identity theft. We also seen risks associated to third-party risks, examples of supply chain attacks like SolarWinds, but also we are seeing a rise of insider threats. Our fellow staff that have access to systems, but also involving themselves in certain kind of activities exposing the bank. Could be as a result of revenge, a result of negligence, but also we've seen some that are coming as a result of human error. So all these is we need to put in place controls so that at least we make sure that we have response measures against all these threat actors. Talking about the approach is how we want to implement this strategy. We adopted an agile framework in form of implementing our strategy, but we believe it's us understanding where we are, set out where we want to go, and also establishing how we should go there. We've done a thorough risk assessment, a current state capability maturity, having established where we are at 3.2. We've also done a risk reduction target, saying how do we need to mitigate all the risks, but also a desired capability maturity score of 4.4 by 2025. From that, we also have a roadmap of where we want to go in form of the control phasing that we believe will help us achieve that, but also backed by a certain investment option that will help us get funds that will help us to put in place controls that we require. Looking at the roadmap of where we are and where we intend to go, we put in place control in five phases. Phase 1, that is focused on making sure we have the basics right in terms of the foundational controls. And then phase 2 will focus more on high priority control that will help us mitigate high risks. And lastly, phase 3 that will focus more on advanced solutions that will help us become more resilient. And also looking at the current state and where we are, having done a threat risk assessment, we've identified top 5 risks that we are exposed to: the cyber attacks, compliance failures, data leakages, and insider threats. All those are currently classified as high risks, and our intention is by 2025, our risk reduction target is make sure we have all these high risks to have reduced to more acceptable levels of medium risk levels. To do that, we've identified gaps that we believe will help us reduce those high risks to medium risk, like ISO certification adoption, having in place an instant response plan, conducting user awareness, and also having in place denial of service attack protection. It will help us reduce all those high risks to medium levels. To do that, we also do them using investment options. So we believe we put in place 3 investment options: investment option 1, A, B, and C, with each having a certain level of amount that is required. But we believe option B is a more balanced investment option, 1 having a practical approach, but also 2 having in place control that will help us, 1, reduce the risks to the medium level, and 3, achieve a capability maturity rating of 4.4 by 2025. From that, also an overview is we've seen most of these strategies. Also investment option B, which is more balanced, having more controls that will help us achieve 1, as we said, actually a maturity control of a maturity score of 4.4, but also a risk reduction target or making sure that all our risks are reduced to acceptable levels of medium risk. So we therefore recommend option 2, having seen it more applicable, but also able to achieve our desired state. Therefore, dear board members and board chair, very humble appeal to you that we do approve, one, the implementation of this, the adoption of and implementation of this strategy, and two, an approval for the implementation and using of the investment option B that will help us achieve the maturity target of 4.4 by 2025. And thank you very much for your audience.